Alrighty then. It is Saturday, March 6th, match day 27. This is the Richmond Gooners podcast. We are here at Gus's Bar and Grill as we always are. I am Ryan here with Tom today.
All right now.
And with Joey.
They were who we thought they were. Yeah. Let them off the hook.
That we certainly did today. So it's a very early morning game. I did not sleep through this one, so congratulations to me, I guess.
Maybe you should have. You always pick the wrong games to sleep through.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, like if we're gonna, I think if I had to sacrifice one for the team, watching us, not watching us beat Leicester, I think is better for the culture as a whole. Yeah. So anyway, it's Burnley away, Turf Moor. It's maybe turf less when we saw how like bare the corners were. Like that was some like U.S. men's national team in like a very tiny Caribbean nation-esque corners of the field.
But when you look at the corners, it was looking patchier than LeBron's lineup. Man.
Ryan had that turf less one queued up. He'd been thinking about that one for a while.
I'm not gonna lie, that actually did just come to me. So take that for what it is. But so we start the day in 10th place. I'm getting pretty tired of saying that, and yet. You know, to Joey's point, we are who we thought we were. So
yeah, no kidding.
So that's where we are. So you look at us pregame in the lineup, and it's funny, Rob was like, what the hell is this 11? I'm thinking, well, the only weird thing is honestly Chambers at right back.
Yeah. Right, because he hasn't played, and then all of a sudden now he starts over Suarez and Bellerin.
Yeah, which was a little strange.
He was all right.
But he ended up justifying. He played really well.
He played really well, I think.
Yeah. So that was a little bit weird. The only other thing I kind of noticed beforehand is... You know, Saka's young. He got last weekend off. I still would have liked to see him get another game's of rest after that run of whatever it was, 7-8 straight that he played the full 90. You know, this year in league, I feel like we're pretty much where we're going to be. Like maybe err on the side of rest for Europa, or just in general to not beat him up.
I think our goal at this point is just to finish above Tottenham.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that's a goal. I think our goal for the season is to throw all our eggs into the Europa League basket. It's not going to happen in the league. There's no way. There's really not. I don't think we're going to get what we want from the league.
If we're talking hardware, it's exactly what you're saying.
And hardware, and actually, to me, maybe even the same level of importance, or maybe even more important, some people's eyes than hardware, is getting back into the Champions League. So, in my eyes, the goal is to finish in the top 4 in the league, or to win the competition that gives you automatic entry to the group stage of the Champions League. Yeah. Those are the goals. And one of those goals, I feel at this point, is just not on.
Yeah.
And one is on still. Because we're still alive in that competition. Barely.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say barely.
By an Aubameyang pubic hair.
I mean, we snuck into the next stage, but everything resets. I mean, it's not like we're hanging on now.
And we're not hanging on now, but we barely got through.
We did. And yeah, I mean, the last lineup point, and we kind of beat this up on Wednesday, but still no Martinelli getting a start, and as it turns out, he didn't even see the pitch. More questions there. You know, I hope one day we'll get some sort of answers. Maybe maybe at the end of the season we find out he was like had a lingering something or other, and we were just letting him sit there and didn't want to say anything about it.
Arteta did answer. I think it was 2 weeks ago. He said, "Willian, we play him because he has a certain skill set, and I like to detract from Willian as much as any Arsenal fan, but Willian played really well today.
Played really well. That's like 3 or 4 good games in a row from him.
And if he's gonna play well, now's the time.
Yeah,
because
I mean, now's the time.
We need a good run of form right now.
Yeah.
But you know, I still
it's almost wasted in the league.
Well, I mean, yes, that, but also like, we talked about this a little bit more on Wednesday, but saying like, oh, you know, the way they play and the way they train determines who gets on the pitch. Well. I can't imagine Martinelli being lazy in training, and he hasn't gotten a chance to play. So, like, I think you have to throw him out there and see what he does on the pitch again after he got back, if he's healthy. Now, it could be, like, you know, I'll use the hockey analogy that, you know, guys like Joe Thornton will play an entire playoff with a separated shoulder and not tell anybody, and then you find out after the fact, oh, yeah, this dude was basically snapped in half.
Yeah.
So this could be playing it close to the vest and just not wanting to let anything out there in case they do have to throw him out there so no one goes after whatever is, you know, tweaked. But it's still weird, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because we kind of ran this into the ground on Wednesday. But like we are a different team when he's out there, and we look good today, at least in the first half. But it's surprising to not see him get any run for the better part of a month.
Yep. Do we want to get into it now? We might as well. The decision making was just egregious. It was atrocious. I'm offended down to my soul. Man United fans love to poke at Arsenal fans on Twitter in particular and say, well, you guys are always, you're so obsessed with the league conspiring against you, and you think that the league conspires for us, but come on now. After today, that Pepe handball, it was There were 2 opportunities.
It's
for
one of the
them.
most blatant handballs I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
The first one you can excuse because it went off the guy's foot. But the second one, he's out there flapping around like a seagull.
His arm was fully
extended.
outstretched.
It goes right into his hand. And the funny thing is, like in live action, I'm like, come on, Pepe, stop putting your hand up, play. But it's like, wait a minute, someone needs to see this.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was, again, our players probably look at this and go, I'm happy to be in the Europa League on Thursday where there are referees that call a fair game. You can get a fair one in Europe. But in England, it's just unreal how Mohamed Salah and all these diving, I'm choosing my words carefully here, but we can't get a call. We cannot get a call.
Yeah.
And it's puzzling. Maybe it's not puzzling as much as it is just it's frustrating. Then ultimately you just have to accept it, and that just doesn't sit well with me. It just doesn't.
No, I mean, and you know, like I hate to be a conspiracy theory guy in any respect, but I mean, the evidence keeps mounting.
Yeah.
You know, and you think, okay, well, this is the tipping point. Well, this is the tipping point. Well, nothing ever is. Like, it just keeps getting sketchier. And, you know, we all sat here going, they're not even going to look at that. A buddy of mine who was watching at home said, no. They did look at that and didn't even bother to signal the ref to think about it.
Oh, wow.
I got a text message from a Leeds supporting fan, and I was interacting with friends on Facebook on a group chat, and even the Man United fans are going, that wasn't fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine Arteta's up on the screen to giving his post-match interview right now. I imagine he's definitely talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, and Will pointed this out earlier, that Arteta is not shy about saying something.
He'll say
you know,
something.
You know, this is not like the NBA where you're going to get fined $25,000 for saying the ref farted. You know, like, they can actually say a little bit without getting completely shot into the moon. So hopefully he's got some words on that. But we'll dig a little bit more into that when we get there chronologically.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a disappointment that the game ended with that being the talking point because it started so well.
Yeah.
I mean, the 6th minute, you know, we'd already had control of the ball, and now Willian is just charging up the field. And, you know, I have crapped on him as much as anybody recently, but he took the space that they were giving him, drove down the middle, drew that extra defender over, then sends it over to Aubameyang, who then has a double step over and just sneaks it around the post. Like, it's hard to imagine a better start to a game than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early goal, like
Which we just don't get them. Like, those happen to us. We don't
Yeah.
get them generally.
It reminds me of one of my favorite scenes in that movie, White Men Can't Jump, where Woody Harrelson, he's playing in a tournament, and he tells the opposition, don't let him do that move on you. Don't let him do that move. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you.
Yeah.
Because Aubameyang, when he gets in, and we could all see it, when he does that double step over, there may be 3 defenders in the world that can stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't happening from Burnley, and it was beautiful to see. And also, to hit that on the near side. Because
the keeper clearly was leaning far side.
Right,
Yeah.
because he knows Aubameyang loves Thierry Henry, and Thierry Henry loves to hit that far side. But, man, to hit it with enough power, because the keeper did recover and make a really, really good attempt. But,
Yeah.
man, gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean,
That
it was like 2 inches inside the post.
Yeah.
Like, it would have to be the most perfect recovery and dive to
And,
catch that.
you know, Willian had a great ball to start it all. It was Arsenal football.
Yeah,
That
it was
Arsenal
Willian pumping
football.
down the center.
Yeah.
and slips out to Aubameyang. I mean, am I the only one that thinks that their keeper should have done better on that? Or
Well,
that we
because
were
I
somewhat
think to
fortunate
Tom's
to see
point,
that
like
go in?
it's possible that he knew Auba's tendency to go push it far post in a
Far
position
post,
like that,
and was leaning a little bit, trying to cheat it.
I don't
Yeah.
think he was, you know, ready to move that way, but I
Yeah.
think it was in the back of his head.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just that thread of it, I think, kept him off
I
balance.
think it was reminiscent of the goal against Chelsea in the FA Cup final where Zuma.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Where
'Cause-
there's
and
no one
Zu-
in the stadium, so you can
right.
hear Jorginho telling Zuma what to do.
And
And
Zuma-
Zuma's like, Zuma, right foot, he's going to go right. And then Aubameyang
Yeah.
digs back to the left, and you hear
Yeah.
Jorginho go, oh, Zu. That was really fucking funny.
And that's the beauty of it is he was struggling for a while, but Aubameyang today, it was obviously 50-50, but the whole world expected him to go far post, and then he
Yeah.
hits it, and oh man, yeah, when he does go near side just like that, more of that, please. More
Yeah.
of that injected into my veins.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that.
Well, and, you know, from there on out, we kept, you know, we were on the front foot, it felt like, the whole time until, you know, 22nd minute, and Saka probably should have had one there.
Yeah.
You know, and
Would
like
have been a worldie.
That one right there, like, that was where you were calling, like, that's Arsenal football. It
Yep.
was
Yes.
coming down the right-hand side.
Yep.
And, you know, just kind of a back and forth, and it gets to Saka in the middle, and or not in
Yeah.
the middle, but, like, you know, they sort
In the
of
final
center it
third,
towards him in
the
the final
final
third.
third,
Yeah.
yeah,
And he just barely pushes it wide. Of course, we're all watching thinking it's going to go in because depth perception is a bitch. But, I mean, that right there could have easily made it 2-0, and then you have well, I would say you have a totally different complexion of a game, but you probably wouldn't because, Will pointed this out earlier, Burnley was sitting back the whole time. Like, even after we went ahead,
Right.
they still were giving us space in the midfield, which we all thought was kind of odd.
Yeah, because normally there's the old expression of if you don't have any talent, hard work is your talent, and that's what defines Burnley for me.
Yeah, sure.
And
They're a
today,
very blue collar team. and
Unlike
they
the people
just
of their
work
town,
hard.
as Joey
Yeah,
pointed out.
Yeah, unlike the affluent people in Burnley.
and let's not forget, they won at ours for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Right.
And so today, I had a lot of importance today on this because I wanted some get back. I wanted some get back. Let's go to their house and 3-0 us, and it felt like that early.
Yeah.
But then, if they're not going to call the game fairly, and I don't even want to say that, we had our chances. We had a really good chance.
I mean, in the first half especially.
We
Yeah.
hit the bar twice.
Yeah.
The bar wants the post.
The bar,
later.
we hit the woodwork twice.
Yes.
rather.
And man, if Danny Ceballos is there, that club legend if he hits
yeah,
that.
he's-
Club legend if he
maybe
hits
seals a move, whether
But,
that's a
even
good thing or a bad thing.
Even still in the first half, like right at 7 minutes after Saka's thing in the 29th, there was a bit of a kind of clattering ball on the goal, and it bounces out to Partey's feet as he's kind of charging in. And I think because he was still like moving in, his momentum is what sent him to kick
Yeah.
it. He got a little too much under it and just skied it over the bar. But like
Yeah.
that one right there could have been smashed in too.
Yep.
What do we think of Erdegaard today? Was he?
I made the point that Odegaard, when he runs hard, looks like he's hurting himself. Like he plays well on the ball, but
yeah.
man, he looks slow today.
He runs with his entire soul and the souls of his ancestors. Okay.
Like they're chained to the
Takes
back
so
of him, and he's
much
running
energy,
away
it
from
looks
them.
like,
It's
yeah.
just
And he takes so much energy, and he's so slow. I like him a lot as a player, but there's no denying.
I was really impressed
slow.
with the shot that he took.
yes.
Because the shot that he took was excellent. My biggest complaint about him has been, please shoot, because you have to be a double threat if
Right.
you're in that role.
Yeah.
But man, if that had gone in, also.
Oh, would have been. Yeah, I mean, there was 3 or 4 if only moments in the
Yeah.
first half. But
Yeah.
to the point about his speed, it's ironic that now that Willian has seemed to find his motor and is moving things along, now somehow Odegaard is kind of the one behind the pace of the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But
the point.
Odegaard, when you're that technically gifted, it's like speed is you don't even really need speed.
Right, and so ironically, the way we were playing when we didn't have dudes making runs and clearing out space, I think might have suited what his top skill set is better. And all of a sudden, the last couple of games, we've been moving it more. And now, I don't want to say he's out of place, but when he gets the ball in space and with a team like Burnley who is just sitting back, he's not necessarily equipped to just charge through and break down the side or something.
But
like that.
you'll notice that he fits the archetype of an Arsenal creative
Yes, he
midfielder.
does. Yes, he does.
Ozil, Wilshere, Cazorla,
Fabregas.
Those guys
Gaping goalmouth.
weren't that fast, but we're all very technically gifted.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just funny that all of a sudden we've got a little bit more pace in our game, and it doesn't seem to suit him quite as well.
Right. And then just gaping goalmouth sometimes.
Yeah.
And they I just need one more
It's like, wait a minute, one more pass, and then
pass.
this will be the best assist of my career. It's like, just
Yeah.
shoot the damn thing.
Just shoot the ball,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be greedy. Be greedy.
As Coach Avery Johnson would say, shoot the ball.
Yes.
Shoot the ball.
But, you know what didn't require anyone to shoot the ball is the Burnley goal. So let's just kind of look at that because that's kind of, the next thing that happened, 39th minute. And
Don't shoot the ball.
My note is just what the actual shit. Comedy of error situation. Leno, in my opinion, should have just sent it. Because
Yes.
Will made the point that, everyone's like, Xhaka shot it into the guy and it went into the
Actually,
goal.
that was me.
That was okay. Fair enough.
was me
It was
that made that
Joey.
point.
but also,
But Leno's the one who can see the whole pitch.
Right.
Leno can see the guy
field.
coming.
So even if Xhaka is showing there, boot it. Because
Yeah.
you can
Yep.
see, he could see the three guys surrounding Granit Xhaka right there. And
Yeah.
it just, even if just because a guy's showing for it doesn't mean you have to give him the ball.
Right. And Xhaka,
Boot it up the pitch,
the
and
pass that-
Leno gets one. Leno gets to make a mistake because he's
sure.
so good.
Yeah, and he did. That save
it's
at
both of their
near the
fault.
end of the game where it was just a random chip, and he had to
Yeah.
make this heroic recovery.
Yeah.
He earns his keep on the
Absolutely.
pitch. But that was to me more on Leno than it was on Xhaka. I mean,
Yeah,
Xhaka's
same.
attempted pass was crazy, but it shouldn't have even been a thing.
He shouldn't have had the ball there. He should have
Yeah.
been in that position.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, I'm Xhaka's probably biggest detractor, but that was not on him.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, I mean,
you give him the ball in that situation, Leno just boot it. And as a defender, I mean, I don't know, this is going to sound stupid, but yeah, Sunday League, you just get rid of it. When it's in your own area, just get rid of it. If you concede a corner, that's fine, but just get rid of it. Because you'd avoid stuff like this. And, I mean, if they attempted it 100 more times, how often is it going to bounce off somebody's hip flexor?
Hip bone, yeah.
I mean, it's insane to think about how it went in. Because even the Burnley guy, he's on the bus right now thinking about how in the
hell did I do that?
How did that go in?
Yeah.
How did that go in?
Well, he was like taking credit. He's like, yeah, after the goal. It's like, man, you didn't do anything. You were just standing there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
yes, you
is.
were in the pressuring position you're supposed to be in, but you didn't affect that. It happened to go off of your
You
hip.
knew nothing about that.
You got lucky.
It was in the goal before you even realized what happened.
So
Yeah.
Callum Chambers at right back, I don't even know. Does anyone know why Cedric or Hector? I don't know. What did Hector do to
Rest.
not? Okay.
I mean,
for
maybe
both
that.
of them, maybe.
But if Rest,
Maybe a chance, just giving Chambers a chance.
Yeah.
Which I thought he was one of our best players today, actually.
he was. I'm just saying.
It was a weird call.
But
Yeah.
if rest is the factor, though, I mean, Granit Xhaka has played almost every game, and he's 90 minutes every game.
Yeah.
And I hope he can last because he provides stability. But if rest is the factor, man, we have a handful of people we need to talk about.
Or maybe it's the fact that Bellerin hasn't been in great form.
Well,
recently.
also, I
don't
think,
know.
too, to the discussion we had with
Cedric
Jared
has been
on
playing
Wednesday,
both sides. I don't know.
I think it might be trying to see what you can get out of Chambers.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think we're at that point
a great
in the
point.
league when, to Joey's point, like the top six is not most likely happening.
So
Maybe
maybe
you're
top,
just
top four is like definitely not.
Top
happening.
four is
Right.
definitely not happening. Top
So who
six
gives
is
a
even
shit about
practic-
top six,
Yeah, it's like
so.
and like so if you're not really worried about league positioning, and we
Yeah.
do have a glut of center backs, but the two guys on loan and the people that are still with the first team now, maybe you just need to find out what he's got to decide what you're going to do in the summer.
Yeah. As an aside, it's something I just said right now. I said, who gives a shit about top six? Yeah. So 5th and 6th could secure us Europa League positioning, but do you guys think that? Let's say we don't finish in the top 6. Let's say we finished 8th again, and we don't win the Europa League, and we don't have European competition next year. Is that necessarily a terrible thing?
I mean, it's not a
Or
good
will
thing.
will it give us some time to maybe focus on
I think-
the other 3 competitions that we're in, namely the league? Now, again, if we know that money talks, and if we, as far as player recruitment, if we talk about the right money, then we can get good players to come in. And
we just posted a $48 million loss.
Right. I mean, you can't discount that. When everybody's hurting for money, you can't discount that. And the other thing too is the comment that Arteta made about
We posted a $48 million loss. How much did we pay for Thomas Partey in cash?
deferred.
$50 million.
Oh no, Pepe was the one that's deferred.
Pepe
That's
is
right.
deferred.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had to show up with a
With the
$50
cash
million
for-
check,
for
$50
Partey.
million pound check
Yeah.
for Partey in order to trigger his release
Right,
clause.
that's true.
They don't do
Right,
installments
release
like
clauses,
that.
yeah.
I think that's why we were trying to negotiate with Atletico for so long, because we were trying to do it in installments.
Yeah.
And to our credit, that was a pretty massive flex. We just kind of showed up at La Liga headquarters with a briefcase and $50 million.
Well, and then they complained about it, saying, "Well, why'd you wait so late?" It's like we were obviously trying to negotiate, and you wouldn't do it. So yeah, we're going to trigger his damn release clause.
Yeah. You kept telling us if we want him, you got to pay his release clause.
So that's what we
that.
did.
Now you mad?
Yeah, sorry.
Now
but
you
no,
mad.
to your question about Europa, the other thing that I saw an article today that said, Arteta had some comments about, Arsenal is nowhere near the vision that he wants for the
Right.
team. And if that's truly the case, then we can't afford a year where we have no European money and no recruitment clout to bring dudes in, because that's going to push the rebuild off another year.
And when I read that, I thought, if you're someone that plays for Arteta at that moment,
Yeah, how do you feel?
how do you, like if I go to work, or even before I go to work, I wake up in the morning and I look at, if I work, no matter where, and I said, my boss says, I don't feel like this is anywhere near where I want it to be, like, you don't feel good about yourself.
Wait. You don't feel good about yourself, but as an Arsenal player, you should know that you're underperforming, that the team is underperforming.
I mean,
Okay,
yes,
that's
but it's
fair.
still
so
never gonna
so
call
that
out
should
in
be, it should be
public.
no surprise that Arteta feels that way.
Well, but I think it's two different things. You're saying underperforming. I think he's saying we don't have the quality of players we need. Whether
I don't think he's saying that at all. In my opinion, he's saying we don't have we don't have like the attitude, or we're not in the place. We're not instilling the things that I'm trying to instill on the field, and maybe to a degree in the culture. That is what I think he means.
And
That's
there
me
is
personally.
always.
I could be wrong.
Well, but also there is the language barrier. I mean, obviously English is not his first language, so it's
Right.
possible there's a little. And
I mean, he
this is
speaks
just
perfect English.
He's
so
perfect English, but like the
good
subtle.
enough to make this point. Good enough to
Yeah,
make
yes,
this
But
point.
I just mean like the subtle, like the very subtle things. He might, if he was trying to be super careful about it, he might have phrased it differently. If he really thought deep about what exactly he said meant.
Yeah.
I read that.
I don't put a lot of stock into like, oh, the coach like said something about him in public. Like I like that Arteta is forthright and that he says what he means
Right.
when he's talking to the press, because I feel like there's no difference in what Arteta says to the press and what he says to the team.
I read that statement. It reminds me of that old radio call-in show, Love Lines.
Oh my God, is that Adam Carolla on that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Dr. Drew. But
Dr. Drew, yeah.
But people will say like, oh, my partner is normal 99% of the time, and then there's this 1% deviancy, and Dr. Drew would go, that 1% is where that is how they really want to be. And when I read that quote, that's how I felt about it. Was
Yeah.
Arteta is being diplomatic, he's being political, and always trying to put on a good face, but he deep down inside knows that there are players on the team that's not who he wants. He wants something. He has a vision.
Yeah.
And we're probably 2 more years.
We're way off from that
Yeah.
vision.
And that probably does sting for some of the guys, like even if they do know that they're not hacking it.
But I think to make the point is that there are players that probably know that I'm good enough to play for Arsenal right now, but if we're going to compare ourselves to Liverpool, for instance, where Liverpool finished 10th that one year, not too long ago, and they got players that got them to 6th, 5th, and then there are players that you sign to get us into the top 3 to win a title, and right now, yeah, we definitely need players. There are players right now that are not going to get us to the title.
Well, sure.
I think we have a starting 11. I think our starting 11 is good enough to compete with the best. It's just a matter of
It's the rest of the pieces.
It's the rest of the pieces, and if our starting 11 is healthy or in good form, or because if we look at it, okay, so I think the one thing, and again, if we figure out situations with some of our on loan guys, maybe a one center back position and a permanent solution at the 10 role. Those two things are, I think, the only things, because we got Leno, we got Tierney, we have Bellerin, Chambers.
Right.
Bellerin may not be long for the situation,
Suarez,
though.
and Maitland-Niles next year that can all play right back. So I think at least one of those guys is good enough. And we have Tierney on the left, who is awesome.
Yeah,
We
he's as
have
good as anyone.
Gabriel, who is awesome at center back. And then that one center back position, I think maybe Holding is the best that we have at the moment, but we need to figure out the Saliba situation. Midfield, we got Xhaka, Partey. The number 10, okay, that is a problem that needs a permanent solution. We might get Odegaard for another year maybe, but I hope we can do a deal for him or somebody that's of a similar quality. And up top, we got Aubameyang, Saka, Pepe, Lacazette, Martinelli.
Yeah, I mean,
So 3 of all those dudes can pretty much go in and out of. I mean, Lacazette can pretty much only play center forward, but those dudes can kind of
Well, and
be a little
that-
fluid.
that-
that is a team that is a really good quality.
Well, and it sounds
that's
like
a starting 11 rather. That is
right,
good quality.
yeah. And so, like, yeah, I mean, that might say that we don't have the depth that we need. Because,
Yeah.
to say, like, we're nowhere near there, like, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Again, I don't think it's the players that he's really talking about. He might be if you had to quantify, he might be talking about that 5% and everything else 95%.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
fair.
think it's the other things, the intangibles, the culture, the commitment, the energy, the desire. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And if Ryan, to your point, if you think basically what you just said, I think that supports that point almost.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So to your point, I was just going to add, because there's a lot of talk about contracts, who's getting renewed, who's not. David Luiz is one that comes up all the time.
Yeah.
I think he's getting renewed for a year,
I felt like he played well.
and I think he should.
He played well today. He ultimately, I mean, yeah, he's got those problematic goof ups, but He was really composed today.
He can also come in clutch. He gives you a goal more so than probably any other center back that we have, and just he's a leader. And especially the youngsters, they really look up to him. And I think the whole club, the whole squad, really looks up to him. And I think you need somebody like that, you know.
So I guess to circle back around, are we kind of getting around to maybe missing out on Europe wouldn't be the end of the world?
Yeah. I mean, that was my point. But, I mean, you guys made, I thought, some valid counterpoints.
I mean, for me, it just depends on what the goal as far as squad building is next year.
Also, I think it depends on where we're at with COVID next year, too.
Sure.
Because if we get butts back in the seats, maybe we could endure a year and still bring in some players. And,
yeah.
But if we don't, then I think it's a good point you made about the financial status of the club. You know, if we don't get butts in seats,
then
it's
that
a
European
good point.
money is going to be
it'll
what
help
keeps
us.
afloat.
It'll help us keep us afloat and maybe get players and keep the building progressing. You know,
Right.
Because I've definitely seen signs of I've definitely seen positives and signs of progression within Arteta's system. And again, I think I can understand when he says we're nowhere near, because I agree with him to a certain extent about kind of the attitude, culture, desire, and some of the things.
Right.
I agree with him on that. Because, again, in my mind, I think we only need to sort out really two positions. And one of those, I think we have a good chance of getting Odegaard to get on loan next year. So one of those is kind of sorted out for the short term. We need to sort it out permanently. But I think everywhere else, as far as a starting player, is sorted. And I think it's you can bring in decent squad players or even good squad players without being in European competition. But the financial thing is important.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
a big
and on the
deal.
one side, you know, every team is dealing with this, so it's not like it puts us at any particular disadvantage versus another club,
Right,
unless you're
right.
unless you're City, you know,
Right.
and they just don't care. But you know,
We did get some loans, though, I think.
yeah, but you know, it's the one good thing would be that most teams are in the same boat.
Right, yeah,
So it's not like
exactly.
we're gonna, you know, it's not like when we were in debt over the stadium and we just couldn't spend money.
Right,
And everyone else was out there going, hey, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So like,
And
you
then
know,
City, kind of the emergence of City coincided right when we were trying to pay off the stadium debt.
Right.
So that was
made
two
it, the gulf
extremes
was
almost.
even that much bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, it's funny. I've got notes on what happened the rest of the game and the substitutions, but you know, we are at that point where VAR is kind of the thing that we need to. We need
VAR, my lord.
Yes.
VAR.
Now we talked about getting a fuck VAR shirt made. I feel like it's getting closer to that happening.
Yeah.
It is, because it's just embarrassing how weekend after weekend, Liverpool, Man United get what they want. And then today, I would love to see a live interview, and it'll never happen, but to see someone squirm and explain what happened today,
Yeah.
it's just,
Who was the center ref today?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Kevin Friend was the VAR.
Kevin Friend was
referee.
the VAR.
Well, you look that up. I'll vamp for a sec. But you know, a Chelsea fan buddy of mine, like I hadn't seen it from the Liverpool Chelsea match. Showed me Timo Werner's offside. It's his wrist. You know,
Right.
like and if your arm is slightly offside, it's not a part of your body that can play the ball. It shouldn't matter. And they're drawing lines and making up rules as they go, seemingly to benefit the teams they favor. To your point, Liverpool and United.
And it's also, if it's up to me, I think the rules should always be changed to favor what the fans want. The fans want goals.
Right.
And inevitably, it just always seems like, especially in England, because if you watch Bundesliga, you watch Serie A, you watch Eredivisie, La Liga, but it just seems like in England, it's always about what the referees want and what they want to see, and it's just embarrassing at this point. Let the game flow.
Yeah.
Let the game flow.
Yeah,
please.
I agree. Andre Mariner was the
Okay,
referee
Mariner
today.
was
Was the main referee, and Kevin Friend, of course, was the VAR.
Yeah, and you know you're right, Tom, because especially how many times today was there a very very late offside call because they're told to keep the flag down until the play develops, and like you understand why they're doing that within the rules that we have now, and it makes sense. But it makes it that much harder to watch and to enjoy what's going on, because you just don't know at one point, something 30 seconds ago that you forgot about already because something happened is going to affect you. Oh, never mind, that didn't actually happen.
And there should have been a red on them. It got reviewed, and then nothing comes of it, and it's just.
I mean, I will admit that the one that they actually did review on
made the
screen.
right call.
They did make the right call. Now,
It hit
it
his
was the
shoulder.
opportunity to make a makeup call, and if you're going to be
Yes.
inconsistent already, you might as well have done it.
Yep.
But if you're going to say we looked at it and didn't see it, then you're actually, in the second time, they're actually correct. Because, I mean, did he do a chicken wing thing? Yes, but it hit him in the shoulder.
So it doesn't matter if he did a chicken wing
Yeah,
thing, if
I
he hit you in
mean,
the
it
shoulder.
looks bad, but it's still not an actual, it's not a red or a penalty for me.
I
But
could have gone with a makeup call, given
Right.
the penalty, but not sent off. I think it was
Yeah.
Eric Peters, not sent off Eric Peters.
well, I mean, he was already on a yellow, right? So you'd have
Yeah.
to send him off no matter what.
Oh yeah, he was on yellow.
So, that's the problem.
Yeah,
But
sure.
this is, and again, like, I wouldn't
He
want to
should.
argue that makeup calls should be a thing because you should
Yeah.
get it right in the first place.
That other
But-
one, the one other one should have been a yellow anyway. So
Yeah.
the one because it was Eric Peters both times.
Yeah. But
The
I mean,
one they
like,
got wrong and the one they eventually got right. It was both Eric Peters.
but, to see that and decide that you need to sit down and look at it for a minute and dissect it, but not see the other one. I mean,
That's tragic.
I mean,
tragic.
Like I said, Pepe twice appealed for it, and like I said, I'll admit I was guilty of saying, "Come on, man, just keep playing the ball," but no one else seemed to notice. And it's like, how did you? I mean, it's just is right there. I mean,
Yep.
he's got his arms outstretched like he's about to hug 4 people, and I don't know how you argue that that's not a handball, and how they can even on a tertiary level look at it and go, it's ridiculous.
What do we think of Tierney today? Because I thought he was outstanding.
I mean, Tierney is just quietly outstanding every game.
Every game,
Right.
yeah.
Like except for when he has these, the crazy goals. Like then all of a sudden you go, whoa, that dude.
Yeah.
But he is who he is meant to be from where he's from. Like he is just Scottish workhorse.
Yeah.
Like that is what he does, and that's how he's going to play, and he's going to bring it every game, and he might not be flashy.
Yeah.
He's going to roll up with his Tesco bag with his crap in it, but like, yeah, I mean, you can tell, like, Suarez did play well in his absence for most of the games. There were a couple in a row he was a little bit shaky. That one with
He
the
made
insane,
one mistake in one
one
of the
big
games,
mistake, and he was a little shaky the rest of that game. But Tierney's just on another level.
Yeah.
And the aggression with which he pushes the ball up the pitch.
Yeah.
Is it opens the game up for us.
Yeah,
And
the verve and vigor in which he defends.
yeah.
Things he just always gives maximum effort.
Yeah.
But he's also supremely talented.
Right, he's like the perfect to me Arteta player because Arteta wants guys who are going to grind and work their butts off.
Imagine-
and he will do that, but also
Yeah.
he is so talented that he wouldn't have to, but he does because
He
that's
does
who he
anyway
is.
because it's who he is. Imagine if Dimitar Berbatov had Danny Welbeck's work ethic. He would have been a perfect player. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's kind of what Tierney is, or the left back.
Well, we nicked
version
him
of
for
that.
so cheap
Yeah.
from Celtic, and I guess
I mean, $25 million. I'd say that's probably half of what he's worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, thank God for
it's just-
the
that was a
values of the
brilliant bit of
Scottish league.
business, yeah.
yeah, and in a league where they had won the league how many times in a row, they're not really pressing for maybe max value because they just
Yeah.
don't care, I
Yep.
guess.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he might be like I would still say
And he
selling
wanted to go to a big club,
right,
improve
and he
himself,
deserved to.
Yeah,
he deserved to. And what more is there for him to accomplish at Celtic?
Yeah,
you're
nothing.
not going to win the Champions League with
Right.
Celtic, so you might as well go to one of the top 4 leagues.
Exactly.
I still think our best business in the last 5 years is still selling Iwobi for what we sold him for. But Tierney
What
is
about
is
Oxlade Chamberlain?
well, but
Selling him for
we got good money for him, but he's also played well for Liverpool. Iwobi's just kind of been there.
Oxlade Chamberlain. I feel like he's been hurt the entire time.
Not the entire. I mean, he
Not the
doesn't. He
entire
doesn't
time,
get.
but-
He doesn't get a lot of run, but when he
Yeah.
comes on, he
When he comes on, he
impacts
does
the
well.
game.
But
Yeah.
I just I think that's a brilliant bit of business. I'm not disagreeing because I talk about all the time how I think Iwobi was a brilliant bit of business. I heard that and I was like, I'll take a flight over there just to drive him to Heathrow myself.
Right. But getting Tierney is right up there for me because of just how impactful he's been, how well he has integrated into our system,
Yeah.
and also just how the money just worked out really well for us on that.
I always
would
love
say-
it,
I would
even
say-
when we lose. Sorry to cut you off there.
That's all right. That's all right.
But even when we lose, he faces a press, and I love that because
Yeah.
we seem to we give the captain's armband to a lot of players just because they're good, and they don't want to face the press. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to be a captain, you have to face the press, and
I feel like you don't like strikers as captains just because.
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't. I mean, I've been on record that for years. Center backs, not goalkeepers.
Center backs and midfielders for
Center
me.
backs and defensive midfielders. Yeah, it's the water carriers because, say for Germany, for instance, they gave the captain's armband to Oliver Kahn for years, and then Manuel Neuer, but they don't see the game. Like they're always in the back, especially if you play for Germany, where it's like there's
Phil
times.
Blom had the captain's armband for Die Mannschaft for a while, and I thought he was a consummate captain and a consummate player.
To me, a captain is not your best player. It is the leader, and obviously he's this guy on the back of my shirt. And then all of a sudden we gave it. I remember when Wenger gave it to Van Persie of all people, and even now
he was already the vice captain.
Yeah, and it's not the best player. It's the guy that questions the referee. The guy that, to use a Britishism, the guy that G's people up. And I just don't.
What if that guy is a striker? You just don't think a striker should be.
I mean, I feel like that's not.
But our guys don't. That's my point. It's like Aubameyang on the field is just like, oh, I should have. It's. But the guys that are vocal,
I mean, I think I agree. I can agree.
Like
with that.
who's out there motivating people?
Well, and who's more likely to be that guy? A striker who is running around swinging for goals, or a dude who is grinding out in the midfield,
right?
Getting bodied around.
And not just Arsenal, but you look at other teams. Who are the club captains?
So
of other teams?
Granit Xhaka.
I mean, he's captained us before.
Yeah, I honestly think, based on what you said, I think David Luiz should be in the captain setup.
Yeah, I mean, he captains Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'm with Tom. I'm with defenders and midfielders, just by the nature of like what you are required to do.
Okay, I thought you said specifically center backs and midfielders.
But I'm just saying, Kieran Tierney, he is the way forward.
Well, and he's the engine. He is. I don't want to say heart and soul, but like he.
So wait, do we
feel
think their fullbacks should be captains? Because I think Tierney is within maybe 2 years going to be our captain. Then.
Oh, 2 years. 2 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
2
no, I'd be fine
weeks.
with that.
Yeah, I'm old school like that. I just look at guys like the guy that manages Fulham now. Walker, is that his name?
No, Scott Parker.
Scott Parker. Yeah. Just
Scotty Parker.
Yeah, not a load of goals and assists, but he's a leader, and
Scott Parker is.
yeah.
Okay.
And so here's where I'm going with this: is
I agree with that. I have a natural inclination to hate him because he played for Spurs, but
well, I'm just using.
but I always respected him as a player. He kind of gave me like Mark Noble kind of vibes. Like
Sure.
always going to be a leader no matter where he is, even whether he has the armband or not.
Right.
His style of play and what he does on the pitch didn't change
Right.
whether he had the armband or not.
That's all I'm trying to say
He was going to
is-
do the same shit. Yell at the same people.
Right,
Tell the same people
leaders
you're
are the
fucking
ones
up.
that get other people going,
Yeah.
and so when we hand the captain's armband to almost willy-nilly every week to someone different, that kind of bothers me. Like when Unai Emery came in and he used that Spanish practice of, okay, I have 5 different captains.
Yeah,
Well,
I pick one a week.
if there are 5 different captains, they're not really captains anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's to use a hockey analogy. If you have 2 goalies, then you're not sure which, you have no goalies.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think it's Tierney for me
like that.
because we've seen the pictures. Yeah, everybody's out there with parkas on. and
Yeah, then he's
gloves.
like shorts.
Yeah, and also my favorite is after the game, there's some people that want to talk to the journalists and they just disappear. They want to go home, and then 3 hours from now, here they are with these goofy Instagram videos in a club or whatever. Just here's me in my riches, and then Kieran Tierney's the one that talks to them and says, "Yeah, we should have done better," or "We did great in this facet." And yeah,
I agree with you to a point. I really
Yeah.
don't give a shit what our players post on Instagram. They're allowed to have lives too outside.
No,
of
they are to do that. But like, if you're the
but
captain, you are
ignore,
also.
But if you ignore the press, if you want to wear the captain's armband, like I'm a leader, and then you don't want to talk to the press or anyone that questions your actions, and then like 5 hours later, like, okay, I'm ready for attention now. Here's me, on an airplane going to Dubai.
I don't see your point, and it resonates 0% with me.
The point
I'm
is,
sorry.
the point is that like you've got to be willing to face the music no matter what happens
Right.
if you're the captain.
You
And
can't-
I don't think
you
Aubameyang asked for the captaincy. I think
No, I'm
it was
not laying
decided
blame
that
to
he-
anybody who is the captain.
Yeah,
but I think
yeah.
if you're going to pick
Well,
an
it
ideal
sounds
captain,
like he's talking about that we have captains that don't do this, so that automatically points
right, but it's not on them.
Aubameyang
The
and-
choice is
who's
don't
our
choose a
second?
person like that for captain. Give
Right,
Tierney
right,
the
sure.
captain.
I don't even
Sure,
know
yeah,
who our
okay,
club
good
captain
point.
is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But that is what I'm saying is that some people want the. I don't even. Okay, let's say he doesn't want the armband, but he still accepted it.
Sure.
And
I mean, I you can make the point like as many different ways as you can. It's not going to resonate with me. I'm sorry.
I'll stop talking then.
No, I said you could continue talking, but if your goal is to convince me of your point, I'm not sure that that's going to happen.
No, I'm with Tom on this. That you want
I'm with him on half the point.
For the sake of it,
should talk to the
but
press,
hang on.
I don't give a shit what they do on social media. Like I just don't.
But why not? Because if you have a right to go out and do whatever you want. Like, I'm not denying him that right, but what I'm saying is you can't put yourself out as a leader and say I don't have anything to say to the press, and then 5 hours later here you are seeking attention.
Well, I think to your point, he may not be putting
Feel
himself
free to
out there
express
as a
yourself.
leader.
Like you're scoffing at me.
I know. I feel like I have. It just that is so nonsensical to me. That
Why
I
is it
can't even
nonsensical?
think
It doesn't make sense to me on my end.
Because he's allowed to have a life and do what he wants, whether he's the captain or whether he's not the captain. So I really don't care what kind of life
I'm
he
not
has.
denying, but I'm not denying
or
that.
being on social media and saying, "Hey, I'm doing this thing on social media."
Here's where you
And
don't
not really
understand me.
how
You're not
Aubameyang does
understanding
that
me
a whole
because
lot.
I'm not saying he doesn't have. I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to do what he wants on social media. What I'm saying
You're
is,
kind of saying he shouldn't if he's unwilling to face the press, correct?
what I'm saying is,
shouldn't do that.
Don't be the captain. Don't be the captain. Don't be the captain and go, I shy away from attention. I don't want any attention. I'm the captain. I don't want attention. And then when he doesn't have the captain's arm and he's like, adore me with my 13. I dress like a 15-year-old.
I mean, I think
we're going off the rails here. I feel like it's just a personal attack on Aubameyang.
Well, another thing
which
too
is
is-
okay. You're allowed to not like
it's
him
not.
or
It's not
whatever.
on Aubameyang. It's on all of them.
Okay.
It's on all of them because
That's
here's
fair. I mean,
because Tierney.
I agree with part of the point. Like,
because Tierney faces criticism. And then the others, the minute they face criticism, they shy away from it, and then they have their agent go, well, that was just racism, and that was just anti-gay or slander, and it's just always something that is anything but how they played, or the ability to face criticism just eludes a lot of our captains. It does. And Tierney seems to be the only one that steps up and says, yeah, if we didn't play well enough, I'm sorry, we need to do better. And then guys like Bellerin and Aubameyang and Lacazette are just like, oh, why are you criticizing me? Why are you criticizing me? Oh, the hatred.
I've just never heard Aubameyang say anything like that or do anything.
That's where I kind of depart here. Like I mean, I haven't seen that. I think there's a difference between being willing to step up and face the music and actively saying no, I don't want to do this.
Correct.
And the other thing too is like,
But, okay,
I don't know
that's
any
the
of
point
them-
I was trying to make.
Yeah,
But
I don't know
I'm
any
so
of them well
frustrated that I
enough.
couldn't make it.
I don't know any of them well enough to understand their motivations in how they do and don't deal with the press.
But there's also saying and there's also your actions. Because a lot of people like to say stuff.
well, yes, but also like
And your actions are another thing.
But there's a difference between wanting attention and,
Just
to
living
Joey's
your
point,
fucking
just
life.
living your life, Like, I think part of it is that, like, we all of us here are old, okay? Like, there's that, number one, there's that.
True.
And so, like, to us olds, you look at someone going out and doing all this stuff on social and whatever is, like, attention grabbing, but at the same time, like, this is just what people do.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know that the two are necessarily related.
Yeah. Like, I don't think, I think there's certain, like, Aubameyang is going to do what he does whether we win or whether we lose. And I think that that's okay because while these guys are footballers, they are allowed to be more than footballers. They are allowed to have other things.
And I don't think that necessarily directly ties to their ability to lead. However,
Right.
I will say that I personally would value somebody who is willing to step up and
that's
answer
the
for
part
the team.
I've agreed with since it was said.
Yeah. So I feel like it's two slightly unrelated things that are sort of tied together. But
I'm not denying them.
no.
Yeah.
But the point still, I think, for me lands that if given a choice,
have someone that's willing to face the press as
Right.
a captain.
Exactly.
I've agreed with that since you
yeah,
guys said it.
exactly.
And I agree that Tierney is the one that has been doing that, which is why I say I see him eventually as the Arsenal captain. It wouldn't matter to me if he was a striker or whatever. I'm glad he's a defender because he's good at it.
Yeah.
But I do see him as a future captain for our club if we manage to hold on to him. But I think he's the type of guy that he made a decision to come to Arsenal. I think he'll stick with it because he just
How long-
seems to be that sort of honorable type of dude, I guess.
We just have him for what, 2 more years, 3 more years, something like that.
I think it's 2, yeah.
Yeah, 2 more. Yeah, I think he signed a 4-year contract. Yeah.
I mean, and because of his nature, and as long as we're still competitive and moving in the right direction, I feel like he'd stay. Like unless someone comes just with a briefcase of money, and even then, maybe, I mean, like, how much money do you need if you're walking around with your clothes in a plastic bag? Like, what was the line? It's like, oh, what's it like living in London? I don't know. I go to work. I train.
Yeah, I don't really go out.
I don't go out.
I couldn't tell you.
Whatever. So like, he's not going to be one of those guys
you.
that's seduced by the glitzy, somewhere else. I feel like.
Yeah, that is a really good point, actually. Like, he's not gonna,
He's not gonna turn down if
London
you get
is
double
the place
the
to
offer.
be,
Something,
even if you wanted to be someplace.
Yeah.
But like, I think that being a pull for being somewhere like a Madrid or Barcelona or like.
He just doesn't seem like a grass is greener kind of guy.
Yeah,
like, he clearly,
yeah.
To me, like I said, I think he'd reached that point with Celtic where what more can you do?
Yeah, what more can I prove?
And he
with
is
this
on the
club?
next level. And I feel like, I mean, obviously I don't know the guy, but like, it seems like he would relish, kind of like we were talking about Jack Grealish a couple weeks ago. Like Grealish being a hometown guy, wanting to do something for his hometown club. I feel like if Tierney is saying, this is the club that I went to when I left my hometown club, I feel like he might be motivated to stay and prove something with us.
It would be difficult to fathom him going to United this summer. That it just wouldn't make sense.
Right.
Because he's really, really enthusiastic, and I just don't see him being that spineless. Or to go to Chelsea, God forbid.
I mean, the only place I could see him going is if
He's
Spain
not a
came
Chelsea.
calling.
He's
yeah.
that culture.
If Real or
nah.
Barcelona showed up with a bunch of money, of course, we
He'd
know
fight
Barcelona
those guys.
has no money
Right.
now.
He'd fight those guys.
But yes.
Because Chelsea is part of the, they call them the Blues, the Linwood Blues and Rangers. There's a whole thing that, for those of y'all listening that don't know a whole lot, but yeah, Linwood, Rangers, and Chelsea, there's a whole right-wing Brexit. We're not racist, but... And then, so
and
you lost me at the butt,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the point. Is
Right.
Yeah.
Chelsea, So he wouldn't go to Chelsea. I mean, I do worry that he would go somewhere like United or.
No. I think
I still don't think so.
I think if Real or Barca came calling with a bunch of money, that's the only thing that could possibly
Right,
pry
and
him away.
it would be really unrefusable money.
Yeah, and we all know
they don't have it.
Right,
and they don't
Barca
have it.
has no money now, so you can write that off.
They're in a bad way right now.
Yeah, so I feel like, going somewhere else in England would not make sense for him, and the opportunities just might not be there
Yeah,
elsewhere.
Daily Mail
so.
likes to.
I mean, Bayern maybe.
No, English players,
not Bayern.
good UK players, and I say that good UK players do not go to Bayern.
That's just.
I know somebody's gonna go, but Serge Gnabry went there and Owen Hargreaves. But
they weren't good
They're
when
another
they went.
level
Yeah.
below.
They developed.
Yeah.
I would say the only one recently I would say is Leroy Sané.
yeah,
That's the only recent one that's an
Yeah.
elite talent I
Right.
think there was something going on with him in Man City, and he wasn't getting. There was something going on.
Well, they got-
and as a German,
and they got Riyad Mahrez. I mean, they have
Yeah.
in Man City. I mean, they have an embarrassment of riches.
absolutely. I mean, they lost Sané, and they're still going to walk
And also,
the league this year.
They had Jadon Sancho on their books, and they're like, "No, we don't need you."
Yeah.
To say Jadon Sancho, we don't need you. Yeah.
And he was pretty damn good, even at that age.
Right.
He was real good. He was real good.
But yeah, I mean,
What do you think about Marie today?
I thought he was good.
yeah, I mean, he was
Yeah.
good. He didn't, do anything
Not flashy. And
outstanding.
he really.
He wasn't
outlandish,
exposed.
but he
He
wasn't
wasn't-
exposed. No, I mean, honestly, it was a weird game to evaluate our defense because they just weren't coming at us much until maybe the last 30 minutes.
For me, our back
Yeah.
four kept a clean sheet, and for all
Yeah.
intents and
Right.
purposes.
Yeah, well, because I mean, the goal was just a double brain fart.
Mm-hmm.
The defense was not on the hook for that by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say anybody played particularly poorly. It was just a couple of weird mistakes. Everyone else looked solid, and if anything, I suppose that after the Willian goal, it felt like we were almost a little confused that they kept letting us just do what we wanted.
Yeah.
And no
yeah.
one's really sure how to take advantage of that after the couple of chances in the first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But-
And Gant, who was here, made a good point of that. Hey, they're really kind of letting us have the ball and
Yeah.
do what we want. And
I think
that's
nobody
odd, right?
expected that. It was if it was intentional and they feel that it worked, then it was kind of a brilliant surprise move. Like, hey, let's just
Yeah.
let them run around and see if they figure out what to do, and we didn't. But we didn't.
Well, it tends to work for them.
Yeah.
It's a shame because we don't allow a lot of goals,
Yeah.
and we have a very, very gifted and promising attack, but man, we cannot unlock a lot of those defenses.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed.
And we got unlucky a couple times today too.
Oh yeah, I mean Pepe with
Hit
that
the
whiff in the
post.
81st
Yeah.
minute. I mean that was a sitter to end all sitters. And then you've got that at 90
You talking
plus
about the
4.
post one, Tom?
No,
Or
Pepe's whiff in the
Ceballos.
81.
He missed.
No, Pepe when he whiffed on the
Pepe
on the
missed
ball
it.
across the face of goal.
Missed it entirely. That
I mean, he
wasn't-
just set
that wasn't
himself
good.
down, and then 90 plus 4. We had
that
3
wasn't
chances
good.
in the
That
span of
wasn't
like
good.
45 seconds, and then
That's the
Ceballos
level.
rocks it off
That's
the
the
post.
level of miss where a player he's probably gonna be lying on his back in his bed tonight, staring
How
at
the
the
fuck
ceiling.
did I miss that?
Because he has to, and he knows that. And I'm not saying anything anyone doesn't know already, but I'm just saying people dwell on that. He will dwell on that
Absolutely.
until he scores the next one.
Shout
And
out
then,
to
and then our quote unquote supporters will dwell on that too.
shout out to
Yeah.
Slocum, who
Just-
probably like threw his TV through a window this morning watching
He
that.
probably jumped off a bridge.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch this team where we
God.
because I feel like a lot of people think we don't defend well because we can see from corners, we can see from set pieces, but we actually defend really well. Our problem is we just cannot get these goals. Get these goals. We need midfield goals because we're always looking at Lacazette, Aubameyang. Please rescue me. Please save this club. But we need goals from guys like Willian, Pepe, Martinelli if he can get in, Ceballos if he can. I mean, and Partey tried today. I mean, Partey loves a good friend of mine that's an Atleti fan told me that Partey loves a long distance effort.
Yeah.
And we saw that today. One was trash.
Well, I mean, he was just running through that ball and he didn't
Yeah.
get himself set for it.
But you think a game of this caliber that he should have that in his ability to keep your knee over the ball and all the basics, the fundamentals. We need some goal scorers. We need creative goal scorers that can score goals. And man, Ødegaard finally took a lash. And
I just wonder how much of it is still on. And we've talked about this before, but Arteta's number one goal was obviously to fix the back line, fix the defense, stop bleeding goals. And I don't know if it's just a matter of adapting to doing that while also still going forward. If people are still just trying to figure out how to exist in that ecosystem, that might. I mean, because I just don't think that the guys Aubameyang tied for the Golden Boot 2 years ago.
yeah.
And now all of a sudden is barely. And then last year you look at he wasn't getting service, et cetera, which is true. But he's got more goals in him than he's scoring, and it's strange. Like it is odd to me that players who we know can score are not. And I have to believe that at least some of them are going to figure it out because the law of averages says they will.
Yep.
And like when that happens, I mean, you look at. Like I said, at 90 plus 4, I mean, we had maybe 3 chances in the span of 35 seconds. The last one being Ceballos' rocket off the post to nick this game. And I mean, I guess part of it is luck. Like we've been having some bad luck, but it's you can't chalk an entire season of not scoring up to luck.
Yeah.
So it just feels like we're right there, and we're close to figuring it out. And honestly, I feel like if we part of me says if they don't blow this game with the ball being ready to be taken for a corner. Somehow it felt to me like we were going to break through on that corner. Maybe that's just wishful thinking because they screwed us out of it. But you go like that, the last 10 minutes, like we were on it and we were going forward and we had the initiative back that we'd given away most of the second half.
Yeah.
It felt like we were just right there. Like that to me is like the analogy for the whole season. We're just right there and just have to get over the hump to your point and score some goals.
If you were Arteta at halftime or any point in the game, what would you have given as direction? I struggle with that.
I mean, I would say they're giving you guys space, be more aggressive with it.
Okay.
Take it to him, press him. Instead of looking for that pass, just drive at the middle and do what Willian did in the 6th minute and draw defenders and then kick it out. Because it seemed after they initially kind of had that really great run that we did look a little tentative with all the space they were giving us.
Does Willian start for you on Thursday?
No, Martinelli starts if he's healthy because get him out there. I mean, no one today deserves to be dropped. Let me put it that way. Like, I don't think anyone played poorly enough to deserve to be dropped. But also, it's Thursday, and we have the derby coming up on Sunday. Ooh. So you're going to need some rotations no matter what you do. But, yeah, I want to see Martinelli out there because we are a different team when he plays.
And we might even drag this longer than it should be, but obviously we have a view towards Olympiacos. We played them, 6 times in the last 12 years. That game is a little bit on my mind, but I'm really focused on next Sunday. How are we feeling about us against Spurs on Sunday? How are we feeling about that? Because
I mean, Spurs are also they're not in good form. They're in kind of a free fall right now.
Bale's coming.
Bale's
around?
in excellent form. Weren't you trying to convince me he was trash a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is an Arsenal podcast, of course. I mean,
Well, and he had been trash.
I mean, I can say fuck Gareth Bale. He can suck a dick, but he is not trash.
but he
I
had
can't
played
lie to
poorly
people.
in what little time he'd been given up until then.
No, he had not.
But now he's playing like Gareth Bale.
He played well since he was hurt when he was given the loan, but he came in and I think his first game he scored, and then he had been playing well, but he hadn't been getting a lot of playing time. Then he's starting games and now he's scoring even more.
So how are we feeling about them against us?
Bale is dangerous. If we stop him, we stop Tottenham right now.
I mean, Bale is dangerous, but as we've said, our defense is very good.
Our defense is good.
You know,
if we stop Bale, but Bale to me is that type of elite player that can really change a game. So what is scary to me about Tottenham is a front three of Son, Kane, and Bale. Those are 3 elite players.
Well,
right?
sure. And that is a lot to worry about.
That's 3 elite players, and
I guess
I think it'll be a good matchup with them in our defense because I think our defense is really good.
If I can riff on what you said, I think if they are firing on all cylinders, we can be trouble.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
And to a degree,
the thing is,
yes,
they
I want to
haven't
beat Spurs. Yes, I want to beat Spurs, but I can honestly give 2 shits about the league right now. Like, we're not going to be. I want to see us do well going into the next phase of our project, which is next season. Like that is why I want to see us do well. Because even if we win the rest of our games, I still don't think we'll finish top 6 or top 4 or whatever.
Some of the cynical fans I've seen out there, what they say is that what we're doing right now is just preseason for the next season.
I mean, that's not I don't entirely disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Europa obviously matters to get us that money.
It is cynical. You're right. It is cynical, but like. Maybe cynicism is where we are right now.
Well, I mean, how many times have I started the podcast saying, well, we're starting in 10th place today?
Yeah, today you even said you're tired of saying it, and I was like, shit, I'm tired of hearing it too, shit.
Yeah, and cynicism is just saying we're never going to be better than this. I think this is realism saying this year we have one thing that can realistically get us something.
Right.
The league is lost to us this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just all there is to it.
We're not Chelsea where Daddy will just buy me a shiny new toy that fixes a problem.
Yeah.
Well, and even if someone wanted, I mean, it's too late. Like it's March. This is March, as John Rothstein would say.
But do we? I don't know. I mean, I always think we're going to beat Spurs, but Spurs have had the Indian sign over us, and if we get a fair game called, I think we have a shot. But after today, I just don't know. I just don't know anymore.
As regarding the fair shot, sure. I mean, and who knows who they assigned to that game? I'm terrified to even look it up if it's been called yet. But
who do we start? Do we start Pepe? I mean, are you going to start Willian next week? I don't know if I start Willian next week.
I mean, again, it all depends on who plays on Thursday.
Do we start Willian next week?
I mean, I think Willian is in really good form.
Against Spurs? I mean,
and it's difficult to justify dropping him right now, but the way you justify it is by saying Martinelli is ready to go.
But again, that depends to me on who plays on Thursday and for how long.
Sure.
Like that.
Absolutely, sorry. Excuse me. But I agree with that. Who plays on Thursday, how long, and then, so if you were asking me this question on Friday morning, I might have a more specific answer for you. So if Wilson, if Wilson the volleyball starts at midweek against Olympiacos, then in my mind Martinelli has to play against Spurs. I almost am of that mindset right now, even though Willian is in form right now and he's had a few really good games in a row. Martinelli is he is that X factor. He's just one of those players where it's really difficult to say, oh, he shouldn't play. Even if he hasn't played in 10 games.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, I'm like, he should probably play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Has William played himself back into our hearts?
I'm not going to say he's played himself back into our hearts, but at this point, with the scope, with the state of our team, I want to play players that are in good form.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's the argument for Willian playing.
Yeah.
He was shit for so long, and now he's in good form. And I wouldn't mind seeing him start against Olympiacos. because he's in good form. I think he's
Yeah.
played 4 like really good games in a row now.
Yeah.
You can't look him in the eye and say you're not good enough.
Yeah.
No.
And,
And
and we
can't do
knew
it.
there was a player in there. His form was just shit. There's form and there's class. And you knew there was class in there. He just wasn't. There was a block on it. He wasn't accessing it. I don't know what was going on.
20-some weeks of bad form is,
Well,
extreme.
If he's gonna
But-
do it, now's the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, now is the time, and that'll
is the
give us
time.
that'll give us something to look forward to against the Lamp. Whether it's Willian or whether it's Martinelli, I think both of them bring good things to us on the
Yeah,
pitch right
I
now.
agree.
Like, I think that's something we can all agree on.
agree.
So we end the day where we started, 10th. Again, we live there now. But up next is Thursday, away to Olympiacos in Europa. Then we got home for the Tottenham derby. That is a lot of travel. Arteta alluded to it, making things hard for us. But, we soldier on. So until the next time, I am Ryan. This is Tom.
See ya.
That is Joey.
You want to crown him? Crown her ass.
And there we go.
Better
We'll
than what
see you
they thought
next
we
time.
were.